Hey, this is Betsy.
And this is Gina, and this is the Lost and Found podcast.
Our podcast is really a labor of love, and it came about a couple years ago when we recognized that we have some incredibly interesting, passionate entrepreneurs. We're making this for you guys. If you're listening, we've made this for you because it's created for our alumni community. These are small business owners and entrepreneurs. We're in the trenches together, but the stories that we can share, I think, will help you feel less alone, get you inspired, maybe even inspire you to connect with these people.
Real stories from real entrepreneurs in small communities.
All right. Welcome back to the Lost and Found podcast. I'm really looking forward to today's episode because we have Nathalie here. Nathalie's like a celebrity. I feel like you don't really need to introduce you, but Nathalie has WorldMart in Worthington, and she is sort of our alumni celebrity because of everything she's accomplished, all the struggles she's overcome. What she's doing to make a dent in the universe is very inspiring. So Nathalie, if you wouldn't mind, give us a little introduction and tell us a little bit about the business as it is today.
Yes, my name is Nathalie Nakashama. That's my name, and my business name is Almaz. That was given by the community. I started this business in 2008 with basically no experience of business. I went through some trainings, and I was lucky to find Red Star at that time, and the startup. I joined the startup boot camp as well to actually learn more about business, how to run businesses, because I didn't want to do things just like everybody else. I like to be unique. So I opened in 2018. I had a brick and mortar, and then 2020 things changed. Of course, we know with the pandemic, I couldn't have staff. People could not come to us, and I had to find a way to get to the customers that could not be served. So I had a trailer. I became mobile. That's where the mobile story started. And then after that, I had to be prepared for when the pandemic, when everything gets stable, how would my business survive or evolve? So then I had a food truck, a transit bus that was transformed into a food truck and grocery delivery, a mobile grocer. From there, I then noticed that I became invisible to stakeholders or to the city or other people. Then I had to relocate based on the need again, and I have now a brick and mortar that meets all the need. The main goal of our business is to bridge the gap in my community, because gaps can harm people. And therefore, with the model of WorldMart is to bridge the gap with everything possible. That's why we're bridging the gap with hair. We have a hair braiding salon, hair and beauty supply. There's no supply. The supplies that I'm providing is not sold in a local store or any hair salon here. So that is bringing people from out of town, and people from town, they're very excited. And also we have a space, a dining space where people can grab food from the food truck and come and sit, and a place that can be rented for small event or having teaching experience, empowering the community to know more about the African culture. And it's really great. And I also have an African market inside. And it all just came together so beautifully, well divided. I have 3 entrances to my building, one to the African store, community center, and then the hair and beauty supply and hair braiding. It's just amazing. And also, I do also some motivational speeches, motivating people. I speak to students. They invite me to speak to students, and also spiritual empowerment as well. That is all about WorldMart and Nathalie Nakashama. We bridge the gap.
Wow. And I've had the privilege and honor of being watching right in the front row on this journey, and it's been fantastic. Nathalie, I wonder if people can relate that are listening to you, because there's a lot of people that are really good at a lot of different things. And I think when you're an entrepreneur and you're good at a lot of different things, it's really tricky to figure out what direction to head. And what I love about your story is that you've explored so many different things And you have found this magical way to stand, like I said before we started recording, sort of in the center of your superpowers and bring it all together in a way that feels cohesive. And that is just no small task. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say. I would like to represent those that have multiple ideas, those that think they can do all things, and yet the society tells them, what do you do finally? You know, I
Yeah.
had people ask me, you cook food? Because I worked with Nobles County as a child protection social worker. How come you have a business? You cook, you speak, you sell food, you do hair. Finally, what do you do? But I am unique. We are unique.
Mm-hmm.
I'm representing those people who are unique with different skills and tasks. There is a reason why I know how to braid hair. Why do I braid hair? Because the way God made me is the way to bridge the gap. Okay, there's a need for braiding hair. Nobody so far has done that, but I can do it. And it takes a team for me to do that. What team? I had to go through trainings. Of course, you have like Swift and different people, but it takes a team for me to be here. But I am the driver of this vision. And you can do all things. I am a 4x4. There's a 4x4 car, there's a front wheeler. A 4x4 can go forward and backwards. So that's how I function. I can move all directions to make sure that I continue to bridge the gap. You just have to decide and find out what is the why of your business. The why of my business is to bridge the gap because gaps harm communities. And therefore, with everything that I have, I know how to speak to people, to the heart of people. I will use that to bridge the gap. I know how to braid hair. Then I can bring employees later, or they can join me wherever. I'll bridge the gap. I know how to cook food. I will use it to bridge the gap, making sure people can learn about the African culture. Whatever it takes that I have and skills that I've learned, I will use it. So you can do all things, just find your why. What is your why? And mine is bridging the gap.
Man, I love how you've put that on and you wear it with such confidence because I think I watched your journey and there was times I think where you were a little like spinning in your head like I want to do this, but I also want to do this. I want to be in motivation. And now that you're so solid with the why, that is the thread. That's the thing that is really the fuel behind all of it. And I can't imagine what more you're going to add to your services and resources. And I'm sure it's going to continue to grow. But it seems very cohesive when you ground it with that why that you talk about. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then it makes sense. I think everyone can get it, right? They understand now that you're just
And
focused on one. Go ahead.
There are some people that are just like, I'm gonna open a pizza ranch and this is it. Okay, that's their business. I'll open McDonald's. I just do burgers. That is it.
Mm-hmm.
But we have so much creativity. If everybody was going to be the same, this world was not going to be fun. There has to be
Mm-hmm.
diversity of brain and mind, and but you just have to know what to do. And I know someday I'll find that main thing. But meanwhile, I'm in this journey. I'm enjoying this journey because every path that I'm taking, I want to leave footprint. It's about
Mm-hmm.
leaving a legacy. And I'm evolving, I'm moving, I keep pushing. Even if I have to change, I will do it. I am happy and I'm happy to serve people. It can look like, oh, what is she doing? But I'm leaving footprint. I'm inspiring somebody.
Yeah.
That's what it
Wow.
is. It's about inspiring people with our businesses.
Man, you're gaining some real momentum, Natalie. I want to ask you about your why a little bit more, but for 1 minute, I just want to go back to that day that you made the decision to leave your career as a social worker, which was and I wondered if you'd share that just because that's a moment so many entrepreneurs have to face. That there's a dramatic change that needs to happen. They have to leave something to go to something else, and that was really difficult for you because you were really invested and you care deeply about that work. So can you just walk us through that a little bit so people can kind of
Oh,
understand how the road how you've really earned where you're at right now because you've had to really travel down some difficult roads.
mhm. Um, it's really hard. Uh, even me talking about it right now, but I have a smile on my face, but because I loved what I was doing. This was as a child protection social worker. I did investigations for abuse. I did parent support outreach. I did case management, a lot of things in that role. And that gave me an opportunity to meet the family in general, besides the child, like meeting the family in general. Besides, like when you're a therapist, you meet with the child in your office and, and you're working with that person, but we work with a family, a whole family, to make a change in a family. And that's something I've learned so much. I've grown so much in that position, something that it took me a lot to let go. First of all, financially, to let go, I'm like, oh my God, I have a paycheck. Every 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
you get a paycheck. And I have all this, like a house that, I bought, and it's just too much. But then if I have to let go of this job, what do I do? The business, you don't expect a paycheck every 2 weeks. Like as a small business owner,
Right.
you depend on the sales. It was a lot of things to process at the same time. But I got there because I was sick. I was very ill. And then, but I kept on pushing and pushing, and I realized that it wasn't. Uh, I had to take care of myself
Mm-hmm.
and slow down a little bit because I had a food truck at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Slow down and just manage my food truck. But then that moment of decision was really hard. It took me, I had to trust in God, of course, but in my skills that I can do
Mm-hmm.
this, that I can turn things around. I can bring wealth. I don't have to wait for the 2 weeks paycheck. There were moments where I felt like I need to go back. I need to call them and say, hey, I'm
Mm-hmm.
back because they're still hiring. They're still hiring. You're looking at those numbers and versus what you're doing right now. An entrepreneur is a person with a vision. I'm a woman of vision. And now I had to
Mm-hmm.
live inside my vision to find hope, and not look at the numbers, not look at the salary. Of course, I had the support system, but I don't like to depend on anybody for my finances because I came in this world, I'm unique, and I had to carry the dreams, but I had to live inside my vision, find happiness in my vision. And that's how I was able to find this opportunity. When I was selling at the food truck, I saw this place across the street that people were moving out. So, and then I went through the window, I looked, I said, wow, this is what I want. But I didn't know there was a treasure inside until I talked with the landlord and visited. I said, now I can rest a little bit. I'm not done yet. So it's about following that step, following that vision, and of course, looking at your teamwork. I participated in a boot camp. Uh, I'm still in that moment where, I'm thinking, there are moments where you feel like, oh my God, did I make the right decision? But I keep moving. I don't give up because it happens when you lose something. The healing, you have grief stages. You have
Yeah.
grief stages. You go through anger. You have denial, like, no, I just didn't do it. I just didn't quit my job. Oh no. Then you get angry. Oh my God, how much money am I bringing in this business? Then you get to depression, and then you finally accept it. I have accepted that I'm a business owner that want to bridge the gap, and therefore I want to be able to do it. And you just have to keep moving, accept what it is, and we'll see what the future holds. I can hold myself now. I don't know what's in the future, but I know what is present right now. Therefore, I am following the vision. We don't know what will happen in the future. We just have to accept to live the moment. Live the moment. And this is my moment.
Well, from the sidelines, it makes sense to me that you were touching so many people in your job as a social worker. I know that it was beautiful. But I
Yeah,
can also see that your opportunity to touch people and help people is exponentially growing as you grow your business. So I think you've taken something that was dear to your heart and you're now figuring out how to scale it almost if you take it out of the context of job versus business, right? And that's
definitely.
pretty cool.
Definitely. Part of me feeling at peace was like in my business, I meet people. And you never know where one thing can take you. I'll tell you an example for my hair beauty salon. I call it hair braiding therapy. People come in, oh my God, I'm emotional. Sorry. People come in my business to get their hair braided. You see, when I was working, I was getting like one customer sometime, like, because I didn't have time. But when I
Right.
stopped my job, I have more people coming. I said, where are you guys coming from? Because I created a space for them. And then words of mouth are going around. You have to create the environment. You can do someone at home, one person, but look, I created the environment and I have more people coming. When they come, they start talking about their life, their experience. I'll give you an example. One lady came from out of town, of course, uh, drove about an hour to come to my business to get her daughter's hair braided. So her daughter is mixed and she's white. So she was sitting there with her daughter and she goes, oh, you know what? This girl does she doesn't like me. She doesn't love me. She's always angry all the time. And I'm looking at her like, oh. And the girl is just sitting there. I said, why can't she love you? Like, why is she always angry? We've done everything. So I started asking her many questions to find out because I'm using now my background as a child
Mm-hmm.
protection worker to work with this family and psychology. My degree is in psychology. I have a BA in psychology and health and social care. So all is combined. I was created for this. Oh my goodness, I was. So, and then I'm doing the hair. I'm like trying to figure out what's going on as I'm braiding, enjoying braiding the hair. And I ask her, I say, how old was she when you adopted her? She told me the age, which was, some month. She was a month old. I'm not going to give all the details, but this was a baby, mini baby. When she took her, I said, this is your baby. All she knows is you. So there's no way she can hate you because you are white and she's not. You see, I said, how about if your environment is safe at home, if everything is fine as you said, what about how she was exposed in the womb? Was she exposed in traumatic event that caused her to have in flight and fear or the fight experience, like reacting to always fighting? Was she exposed in traumatic event in the womb for 9 months? Or the 4 months she spent, how did she spend, or 5 or 6, 7, how did she spend it with the parents? And then she said, oh, you know what? Yeah, she was born in jail. So you see, if that child was in that experience, so that the child could have had that experience. So then she was so happy at the end. She hugged me. And the daughter, she asked me if I can talk to the daughter, and I spoke with the daughter. She hugged me at the end to figure out that she wasn't the problem, the daughter wasn't the problem, but they had more. And I told them to go see the therapist and now talk about this history. And I guided them on how to talk with a therapist. And at the end, the hair was 150. The lady gave me double price, you know.
Wow.
And I've had those experiences where someone comes like, and I do their hair. It's about $100. They give me $300. Who would give you a tip like that at work? you know.
Wow.
I'm just saying those are things that I did not see coming. There are so many good surprises coming on in our journey, but sometimes we don't see it. We don't see it. There's always something there. Everything we do is meant to be in order to empower people. So I'm taking my job experience. It was very important for me it was a stepping stone to where I am right now. And I didn't know this place of braiding could be a braiding therapy. And I have more and more stories, similar stories where people bring their emotions. They just come to relax. And at the end, they say, this is nothing. They say, this is nothing. You don't know what you've done. So I am bringing beauty back, confidence with hair braiding. And of course, the other things that I'm doing, I'm impacting people. And I'm happy because I am doing what I love, bridging the gap. I did that with child protection. And look at all these surprises. I didn't picture this. I just had to follow. That's just an example.
Look
Yeah.
at you, Natalie. Look what you're doing. Look at where
Yeah.
you are now. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Um, I'm getting a little feedback, Derek. I don't know. So I have a question for you. I've been thinking about this, and I've had such a great seat in watching you do all this and learning all these details as they've happened, which is so cool. But I've never really dug into the idea of bridging the gap with you, and I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more about that because there's a lot there, right? Bridging the gap sounds simple, but it's not. And you've I know you've learned some of that the hard way by understanding cultures and differences and things in your community. What what does it mean to bridge the gap between cultures? And I know that from this on the surface, which we all talk about it on the surface, it's really just learning more about each other, right? But there's so much more to it. Some of it's perspective, and I say that because I was thinking about I went on a trip to Serbia, and I was in Europe for a while with some friends of mine, and I was able to get this amazing perspective on how they see America and how they see the Midwest. And they were sharing with me how they understand us in a way that I had never thought of. Like, I had no idea. And I think that's when I realized how little we know, how closed we are to understanding, because understanding is so much more than just learning, like, how to dress differently. I mean, so help me really dig into that. What does it mean to you to bridge the gap, and where are the gaps?
Good. Yeah, there are so many gaps. So when I moved in here, like I said, as a social worker, I realized there were gaps. For instance, I would say we are all icebergs, meaning the top is just there, the tip is just there. At the bottom, there's so much more experiences, trauma, all those kind, or the background where you grew up, what you heard people say, what you know about the people. And I saw that there was that gap where people didn't understand each other. For instance, some people thought African food smelled bad. Okay, or Africans carry with them bed bugs. I've had like some certain comment that I've heard myself. Um, Now I was like, oh, is that how they see the black person? I went to a meeting that I wasn't expected to be, but I was there. I was invited last minute. Um, Someone was showing a piece of horn they collected from Africa. These are missionaries, and they are Christians, believers. They want good for people. They want to serve people. But they had like a piece of horn, and they said they were sharing about the challenges and their experience when they are in Africa. And they said we have to deal with this smell. So they're giving the piece of horn to everybody in the room to smell. That's how they smell of the people of Africa. I was like, no. That's not the reality. It's like walking to Worthington. We have a pork plant where they do, you know, you know, porks and everything. Sometimes there's a bad smell that come out of it. Would you walk in there and say that this is the smell of the people of Worthington? No. There are some people like visitors that come to visit. They're like, oh my God, it was stinking on the road, But yeah, what do you expect? We have farms, we have everything. Yeah, but the people don't smell like that. So hearing that, all those kind of things, I say, there's somebody need to bridge a gap here. What is the better way for people to listen and hear, bring people together, teach others, the African, this is how things are done here in the country, and teach the people who are born here, no, that all Africans don't smell like this. The reason why you smell a different smell is because you don't cook the food, and it's organic food also. If processed food might have a different smell, organic food have also a different smell. Why are African foods still organic? Because they can't have the ability to produce like here. All these equipment are expensive for them to afford. That's why the food is still organic. And I had to bring that teaching in my business and people to get used to. You can have biases. Biases can protect you. They can also harm you. They harm when you don't overcome them, you don't check them. And many people don't check their biases. Oh, Africans are like this. You've
Right.
seen Africans on TV because, people want to do fundraisers. They show them like dirty and, nose dripping and all that. But that doesn't represent the whole continent, doesn't represent the whole. And I also wanted to show that we are Africans, but we also have different cultures. I had to face a lot of things in my
Yeah.
business where I was not accepted. I thought, hey, I'm African, I'm opening an African store, everybody's gonna come. Then I found another challenge where, why are you opening an Ethiopian grocery store when you are not Ethiopian? It was a shock to me. Then I came to understand human beings have different perspective. How do we break that? How do we clarify every perspective? Not to break it, but clarify, making sure everybody learn is to bridge the gap. By having a business, people walk in and learn a little bit. I'm using all my skills to help everybody understand we are one tribe. We are in this together. We just are different and we need to accept our differences. So that's really what was behind bridging the gap. And when I go speak to students, it's all races combined. Uh, I'm so happy to see how people are just excited that the Black students see I'm representing them, and the other races think
Mm-hmm.
I have so much energy, and they like it. So it's all about
Yeah.
it's all about clarifying perspectives. And also, I've learned that
Yeah.
every client sees your business different. It's up to us to teach them. It's a
Right.
teaching moment. Let me say that way.
And Natalie, remind me, you are from the Congo, right?
I'm
Derek,
originally
my
from the
sound
Congo,
might be
yes.
off. Okay, and so the Congo is more middle west of Africa, right? And east, the Ethiopian areas to the east. So that's in
Yes.
case people are kind of thinking that through. It's just a completely different region of a continent that's could be very different, vastly different, and that's what you realized is that just because you're from the same continent does not make you necessarily have as much in common as maybe you thought.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
We are in the Central and the East African, and most of the food that Ethiopian eat, we don't have it. And it's my
Hmm.
other role. I'm like, we need Africa. That's a different story there. Need to learn about Africa. I didn't know. For me, okay, in my country, when a baby cry, if the child doesn't want to eat, you know what we say? Eat, otherwise you're gonna become like an Ethiopian. So that's all I know about Ethiopian. That skinny little kid on TV that has lost weight because of their refugees somewhere. That's my knowledge of Ethiopia and my people in my country. You see, that's all I know. So imagine that if I thought like that, many people thought like that. And for me, it was a discovery. Coming to Worthington, Minnesota, I discovered so much about Ethiopia that I love. And now I even know I understand when they speak their language, which is Amharic, and I know most of their food in their language. I had to
Okay.
learn it in order to communicate with some of them, my customers that do not speak English, and
Mm-hmm.
are still learning. So I I learned that we are completely different. We have the same skin tone, but we have different cultures. We have different dance. We don't dance like them. They use their shoulders. We use our hips to dance. And I am even
Interesting.
teaching other Africans like we have so much work, so much things to learn about one another. And when I embraced their culture, I loved it. It was by sitting with them, eating with them, dressing up like them. We don't dress the same. It's completely different. The only thing we have in common is the blood, the fact that we are in Africa, and some cultural values. You find that some similarities there, but majority of things is different with the Ethiopian culture. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
really different. So I didn't know that until I opened the business that I started learning more. Yes. And that
You
helps
know,
me to bridge the gap
Natalie,
even for them.
you have a innate sense of humility that I just cannot. I mean, it's incredible how you've just been so completely open to learning, even in areas where you really didn't think you needed to be learning. And as soon as you figured out that you had things to learn, you were embraced it, and it was amazing to watch that happen. I had an interesting thing happen to me in Serbia when talking about the difference between Americans and Europeans or Serbians. And my friend said to me, I said, "What's the biggest difference between Americans and your culture in terms of just how we behave?" And she says, "Well, one of the hardest things for me to figure out was you guys never say what you mean. Like everything you say, you really don't mean what you say. And I can't figure it out. We just say what we mean. Like if we're mad, and there's so much behind what you say, and I can never figure it out. And it's the simplest thing, but it was really powerful to me to recognize that and that I do that and how hard it must be to communicate with me sometimes. I mean, is there anything like that that you see in maybe even the residents of Worthington that really haven't traveled or were born in Worthington? Is there anything like that that you can call out so we can
Oh
recognize
yeah,
it?
definitely. And
Tell
I
me.
just had an experience even before I got on this podcast. I had to pull my inner joy to come inside here. Well, in the American culture, you don't speak what you think. In other cultures, because
Right.
I've traveled around the world also. I've traveled. I was in before I came here. I was in England. I visited my sister when she lived in Holland. I've seen how they behave there in France, Belgium, in other countries also in Africa. That's where I have this perspective also that there are different perspectives in every culture, every human being, every society. So I have noticed that people don't tell you what they mean. They're like, this food is good. But now I don't look at the food you're eating, I look at your body language. It doesn't mean what you're saying.
Yes.
For instance, this is fun, when in fact it was crazy, you know? But in the other cultures, they will tell you right away, no, I don't like it. They will tell you what they think directly. But here, you would not know really what the person meant. For instance, this morning, I'll give an example. I was talking with some city people regarding the licensing, of the grocery place. And they asked me a question. I've done, as a business owner, I've done all my homework to figure out how to have all this combined space in one place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, dividing it the way I've done everything. I'll check with the department, the Secretary of State website, cosmetology, everything, how I can run this place without a license for hair braiding. I don't need a
Mm-hmm.
cosmetology license because it's hair braiding. I'm not using chemicals, all that. And also this space, people can walk in, and bring in the food and everything and eat. Or, anyways, to cut the story short, I did my homework. When they sent them a letter that someone was coming here for inspection because I was approved for that, they called me. And these are people that I talk really nice with. I'm like, they asking me a question. I said, this is the homework I've done. They said, oh, okay, okay, okay. You know what? They thought we ended the call, but I didn't think we ended the call. So they launched the call. They were talking in a different tone about me. And I heard them talk. And they
Oh.
didn't know I was listening. I was
Oh
shocked. My
no.
whole body was shaking. And these are the people that I talked to. They were talking to me nicely. And when they talk about me on the phone, this is this I'm bridging the gap in the city. And you talking about me like that so they can do compliance inspection and something like that on me. And they were not talking good. And I said, hello, hello. You see, now that's my culture comes in. We don't shut down. I
Mm-hmm.
say, hello, hello.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you can hear me. I said, I hope you can hear me.
Wow.
Let me talk to the person that you have on the other line, please. The room went quiet. Something, they muted me. Then they got back. Oh, Nali, I'm sorry, you were not supposed to hear this communication. I said, listen, I am here to bridge the gap in the community. You see it as a business. I see it as bridging the gap, meeting the needs of the people of Worthington, the African people, the minority. And I am bringing people from out of town to come and visit Worthington just because of my business. But I didn't like the way you presented me to the inspector and telling him that I was doing some illegal stuff. There's nothing illegal here. I'm a law abiding citizen. Everything I checked it, and I was clear with the inspector, the person that was the inspector. I spoke with them clearly, and I told them that I was bringing in food, and it was going to be on disposable ware, and they agreed to that. It's not illegal, it's legal. No, we're not saying that I'm so sorry, you were not supposed to hear. I said, I am glad I heard it because God is watching for me. I am here to bridge the gap. And you know what? If you don't want me in the city to bridge the gap, there's another city that will welcome me because I carry the vision. They will welcome me and they will treat me very well because I carry wealth of knowledge and a way to bridge the gap. You can come and visit the place and see where I've broken the laws, but let me tell you something. You will miss me, and I will go in another town. They will welcome me with all the wealth of knowledge. I will continue to bridge the gap. And thank you. And called me back. I am so sorry. I am very sorry. Yes, you are allowed to do that. Yes, they're coming to inspect. I had to have my knowledge. I did my homework. Can you imagine? My whole body was shaking. Oh my God, they're talking. They didn't tell me this when we were talking, but now behind, this is what my back, this is what they were saying. They were shocked themselves, you know. And I said, you working with people, you're getting grants, you're getting things as a city. Instead of supporting your businesses, I say you're supposed to support small businesses. I didn't even talk about minority because people say you want to throw that card. I'm talking as a small business because I've talked to other. I'm a friend of most of the small business owners here in town. When I say friend, I visit them, I talk with them. That's part of me bridging the gap and listening, to what's going on. You have to stay, uh, you know, uh, on top of the game. So I hear how sometimes the difficulties they have. So as small business owners, I said, the city, you're supposed to support us, not talk the way you were talking to the inspector. That sounded more like, and when one of them was saying, oh my God, yeah, so we're going to meet her, she's going to be shocked. I said, shocked? Whoa, shocked by what? Bring me bad news? I have done my homework. There's no bad news you can bring to me. So, yes, the culture here is some people don't mean what they say, some do. And it's important to tell the person what you think and then stop there, clarify it. If I was maybe from another culture or personality, we also have personalities. It's not just about culture. Some people are shy. Some people are, have social anxiety. Some people can are extroverted, introverted. I am extroverted, so I don't mind say hello, hello. Can somebody hear me on the phone? So I did that because I could have gone silent and hurt and say, "Oh my God, that's something we're talking about me." I won't allow that to happen to me. I will speak my mind. We'll clarify there. So yeah.
You know, if I could stand up and clap, I would, Natalie. Thank you. It was like a standing ovation moment for all of us in the peanut gallery here, but thank you for sharing that story. That's an incredible story. And, I think we, sort of white Scandinavians who grew up here have to recognize that we have this is on us. Like, we don't communicate well and we don't say what we mean, and we can do better. And I know one time I was visiting Abdaweli, our friend in downtown Wilmer, with the Almond grocery store, and he was walking across the street, and a friend of his and a couple people from his community were talking, and then this one woman was yelling at someone, and he turned and said to me, "She's not mad. Everything's okay. This is not trouble. This is just how she talks." And it happened again, and he said it. "Remember, she's not mad." And it was really interesting because he recognized that that's probably what I was thinking. Because we don't, like, it's just, that's a gap. It's a little weird nuance, but it's an important one because I think sometimes we just read that completely wrong. We just read it wrong because we're not used to being that way, and that creates a huge divide. Does that make sense? Like, do you ever experience that between those two
Yes,
cultural,
yes.
like, communication
Communication
styles?
is different.
Yeah,
I have.
yeah,
I have experienced that. Communication is different. For instance, the tone of the voice can be seen as an angry person or yelling.
right.
Or if you go to let's say, Somalian restaurant, you ask for the price, they're talking to each other at the same time. You will not have eye contact, and they're speaking as if they're screaming and yelling. They're just excited and talking, figuring
Yep.
out what to give to you. And yes, you were saying
I
something?
just, well, no, that makes sense. That makes total sense. And I think we just have to all, you know, pause and catch ourselves around what stories are we telling ourselves about what's actually happening right now. And,
Hmm.
and that's where I think what you do, Natalie, is you give people these experiences that help them re-examine some of those things and say, you know what,
Yeah,
maybe I was telling myself a story about that's not true or that's wrong.
yeah,
Um, and
yeah,
it's in all those experience where you kind of subtly start to take all that in and change how you're thinking. And that's what I appreciate about you. You have so much patience with the problem. You
yeah.
just don't give up. you
I
know?
don't give up. I don't. There's this perspective also that, when they're angry, black people are angry. No, it's just they express, they don't keep in the expression. They express it, but they're not gonna beat you up. They won't beat you up. They just
Yeah.
express it. I didn't like it. With that big tone,
Yeah.
and you think, oh my God, my life is in danger. No, they just express it. But when in fact in this culture you keep it in or you explode in a different way, they just show it to you there, and that's it. And communicating at the same time, we can talk to five people at the same time. you know, Before I
Yeah.
realized it was a
Yeah.
problem. Like you're saying hi to this person, they're looking at them, and then talking to another person at the same time, and another person, because that's the lifestyle. Because in Africa, people live in community, so you have many people
Hmm.
talking here and there, and you join any conversation, and that's the style, and you feel like what's going on? Are they arguing? And then also, there's also a saying that it was in one of my classes I took when I was in college when I was at the university, they were saying that if you don't speak a language, that you don't speak the language, you have the impression that the person is speaking fast, and
Right.
those things. So I have that, and sometimes I get lost. I'm carried with my excitement. I speak faster. According to
You
people, they'll
do.
feel I'm fast. So I have to slow down, knowing that knowledge, that hey, slow down, don't go fast. But there's so many things in there. I'm using my training to sometimes calm down or sometimes just get lost. You don't realize it, but we have to learn about each other, knowing that, oh, they're not yelling at you, they're not talking bad about you. Actually, they're happy to see you. Remember the
Yeah.
experience we had at the restaurant? We had too much food at the table.
That's right.
He, he was excited to offer that. you know you see, they want to give you more food because they want to welcome you. That's the way to welcome you. That's the way to make you feel like we love you, we appreciate you here. And yeah, sometimes it can be not understood, like, oh no, I don't want to feel bad doing this. No, it's okay to accept help from people. um Culture is very different,
Yeah.
and I've seen that in every aspect of life. um I don't stop. Like I was cooking food. One guy came and told me, um, are you cooking rats? Imagine I'm cooking ribs, racks of ribs, like big ones. He's
Hmm.
asking me if I was
Yep.
cooking rats. So now part of me, I said, maybe it means racks. Racks? Racks of ribs.
Uh-huh.
I said, part of me was
Yeah.
in my mind like that, but then at that moment, I said, let me ask. I said, what do you mean? Because you have to ask people, what do you mean? I want everyone to always clarify. Even when a customer walks in, I've learned to ask what they mean. Okay, then I understand. What do you mean? And it's like, if you are cooking rat, Rats. So he did spell it for me. So then I'm like, okay. And I froze for a moment, and his wife walked laughing, and then he followed the wife. Then I realized what he said. I said, wait a minute, he meant Rats, and I have my food there. It's already stressful to cook. And I'm looking at my food. I say, oh, you know what? That's how they're going to see my food, that I'm cooking rats, because maybe African eat dogs or eat rats. I don't know. It was so discouraging. But you know what? I had to dive deep inside of me, bring the joy out of me. I put my music on, started cooking, and I had some people come. You know what I've learned? Everybody is not the same. I had some white people that came, bought and told others. That's how they started calling me the Queen of Ribs. I make the best, finest ribs in town. And I don't say it because I
Well,
make it, I say it because my customers say that.
I'm I'm just so ashamed and embarrassed that someone would say that to you. The earlier story. Wow. That's called being passive aggressive, and it's the most toxic part of we don't say what we mean. It's just awful. I'm sorry you had to experience that. Another thing that I learned in Serbia with the friends I had there that I think you do so amazingly well is that when I was spending time with them, we would go somewhere to dinner and they would stop in, say, at a friend's house and introduce me, and then we'd sit around. And I kept saying to people, out of just, I don't know, like I was programmed to say, you know what, we don't have to do this right now. I know you're busy. I know you have things to do. And they'd say, no, we're here. We want to do this. And my friend who was the host, I would always say to her, she'd say, what do you want to do? I'd say, well, I can do this. I know you've got other things to do. So you go do. And I was constantly thinking about what they should be doing other than being with me, feeling guilty that I was taking up their time and feeling like I'm sure that what they're thinking right now is I wish I could get away from here and go do something else. And it took me a long time to accept the fact that no, they really wanted to spend time just being in a social. And when I finally started to recognize that was completely sincere and just like a cultural thing, I was just humbled. Like, it just broke me. I was like, wow, they really want to spend the evening with me. No technology, no phones. I came back like a different person because I had never been just given permission to recognize that, and I never felt it so much as I did with that group. I think that's what I see in what you're doing, is you're just recognizing and creating this value around just spending time together, which I don't think without my Serbian experience I would really realize was how powerful it was. But I just also wanted to point that out as a cultural difference. I think
Yes.
you treasure and value those social times where you can make connections. Is that fair to say?
Exactly. Yes, I do. For instance, if you tell an African person, in general, because like I say, we are all different, we have some things that are common. Or some European have that too. Some countries in Europe, like you say, oh my God, I love this. Oh, you love it? I can give it to you. They will try,
Yeah.
because you loved it, they have to get it to you. They have to give it to
Yeah.
you. But for the American culture, oh no, that's okay. Mm, no, I don't need it. I just think it's beautiful on
Right.
you, you know. And there's that thing of always feeling that if someone likes something, then you have to give them. Not in a bad way. You're excited that they love it and you want to give them. Oh, you like my African outfit? I'll get you one. Oh, no. And some people are scared. There's this thing, people are scared of wearing African outfit. They feel like they're going to appropriate cultural appropriation. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there are only a few people, like I said, a few people that will complain, oh, why are they braiding our hair now? Because bridge the gap even amongst ourselves. Why are they braiding, not ourselves, but some people? Why are they braiding their hair now? Now they're even trying to get our hairstyle. I say, you know what? We're putting wigs that look like Chinese wigs. Is that cultural appropriation? We're putting hair that looks like white people's hair. Is that cultural appropriation? And I tell people who don't want to wear African outfit in fear of being, having cultural appropriation, I say, when I'm wearing my pants, my jeans, it's not the African culture. So do you think I'm appropriating of your culture? No, I say, therefore you can wear whatever you want. Actually, people feel love, they feel like you love them when you walk in at their party wearing that African outfit or something that looks like them. That's how I won the heart of my Ethiopian community and Eritrean community, because I was dressing like them. I sat down to eat with them, and they said she loves us. She's one of us. They gave me the name Almaz, which means diamond. I'm a diamond for them because I brought them things that were not in town. Another culture called me Chaltu, which means a woman of high respect, of dignity, because I was able to bridge the gap between the cities and them to allow them to have their cultural ceremony at the lake. So they gave me the name of Chaltu, so I can be like them, one of them. And when they walk in my store, that tribe calls me Chaltu. Another one calls me Almaz. And I'm okay with that because that reminds me that I'm bridging the gap. So, yeah.
Wow. It's humbling to talk to you, Nathalie. I mean, just the way you put yourself out there and just you're all in on this work. You're all in. All parts of you, all your superpowers are at work every day in all the ways. The ribs and the braids and the groceries. It's just amazing what you're doing. Well, I can imagine we'll have a lot more discussions like this on this podcast because your story doesn't seem to ever end. It just keeps getting better. But thank you for catching us up and helping us understand what's going on now, which means for you, you've gone from, brick and mortar to trailer to food truck to another brick and mortar, which is more of a community center style, like meeting of all of the avenues in which you're bridging the gap, and it's kind of beautiful. So
Yeah.
keep us up
Yeah.
to date on what's happening in your space and how it's continuing to evolve, because I know over the next year it's probably going to be amazing what happens in there.
It will, because nobody stays a baby, nobody stays an infant. We grow, we add different parts in our body, we get old, and until we retire. So yes, expect to see growth. You will see new stuff. I'm not done yet. I'll still have things to add as part of my journey. I have to grow. I'm a business owner. I don't want to stay in one place because the role that I'm trying to fulfill, my why is so big that I cannot be stuck to one thing. I have to be
Yeah.
ready to the new change. So that's my business model. I want to inspire someone out there that has all the gift, all the talent, and they don't know what to do. Put it to work. Find your why. And when you evolve, nobody will question. Nobody's asking me, why are you having a hair salon? Why are you doing this? Because what they know, I'm bridging the gap. Even if I bring a new service, I am bridging the gap. I am hoping to get more employees, create employment so I can do more stuff, empower people in my space. Now I don't have to rent a space for empowerment, empowering the community. I'll create a space where people will come and learn more. So it is beautiful. It is a beautiful journey. And thank you so much for helping us as business owners. I am talking about the An Academy, the boot camps, the startup boot camp, Red Star, all that you're doing also helped a lot in shaping my vision. Because when you cannot articulate a vision, that's where confusion comes. So if you are like me or another business owner who has all talent, just find your why and you will flow
Yeah.
so smoothly and love everything that you do. And I love what I do. I will keep on bridging the gap. It doesn't matter what I have, I will serve the people.
Let's all give Nathalie a standing ovation, shall we? Thank you. On
Yes,
behalf
thank
of
you. Thank you.
on behalf of my team, on behalf of the alumni community, on behalf of the whole world, thank you, Nathalie, for being you and for doing what you do every day. And you're doing work in Worthington that's changing people's lives, but I think we're those of us learning about what you're doing in Worthington, you're changing our lives, and it's definitely a ripple effect that you're having. So thank you for what you're doing, and thanks for spending some time with us on the podcast, sharing your story. I just
Thank
look
you.
forward to watching it continue to evolve.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I think what I'm hearing you say is just watch out for summer, man. Come visit. Come
Watch
visit in
out.
summer because it's gonna be
Come.
something.
It's gonna be fun. My goodness.
Okay.
I'm already living in the vision, you see. That's why I
Yep.
keep pushing because I am living in this vision. It's gonna be great. The plans that I have are so amazing. Food outside for my food truck. Oh my God, it's gonna be good. Music going on, and I'll have the items like to sell outdoor racks of clothes and everything. People will get it. It's just gonna be fun. This is a perfect place right now. I am enjoying the moment. I don't know what's in the future. If it's gonna happen, I don't know, but I'm living in the vision, and I'm very excited. Live in the vision,
Well,
find empowerment, find happiness, and make the dream come true. And it's gonna be fun. Come and taste my ribs and everything that I cook. It's amazing. It's amazing. I love what I do. I'm so happy.
wow. How can we not? So I believe we can find you on Facebook. We're all going to be dialed in and tuned into what's happening at your space, so we can know when to show up and dance and eat ribs and get our hair braided. So thank you.
Yes, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I'll have that. You'll see it on Facebook, and I'll have different ways of advertising. A website under construction because it's too much that I'm putting in there. So they're working on what to do, how to do it. We're trying to really study the best way to go about with this. But yes, Facebook is the best way to see any event. Of course, I will send out invite as well for that grand summer opening.
Yep.
It's gonna be, yeah, one of its kind.
Post it on our Unacademy channels, and we'll make sure we get the word out to everybody who needs to know. So
Thank you.
All right, Nathalie, thank you so much. It was a great episode. I hope everyone took away what I took away, which is making me sort of want to jump up and run out of here and go do some cool stuff. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Thank you, team. Thank you, everyone.
All right. See you next time, Nathalie. Bye.
All right. Bye. Bye.